Welcome to Keep Going, a podcast about failure and success, hosted by John Biggs. Every week, we talk to an amazing person about a time they failed and what they learned. And remember, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Welcome back to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show we have Stephen Yang. He's the CEO and founder of Anker. Now, you have to be familiar with Anker if you've bought any sort of battery or accessory, and now you're doing home security products, Stephen. It's a huge company at this point, and I'm really glad you got to join me. This is actually very, very cool for me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you, John.
Yeah. So you guys started out specifically in Anker, right? Anker was batteries essentially. So it was sort of batteries for phones, batteries for even bigger batteries for different charging uses. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about your work? You worked at Google at first, and then you wanted to expand out, and you built this company essentially from scratch.
Yeah. So, I was a software engineer for Google, I think from 2006 to 2011. Well, by the end of my, job at Google, wife, she was actually trying to sell things on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually helping her by building, softwares to keep track of the inventories and so on and so forth. And we quickly realized that, selling is just so easy, with all the platforms available. Actually, finding great products is the hardest thing. And that led us to think, why don't we just create, some great products? Since I'm an engineer, I always have that kind of, interest, or that just feel that, I can make this thing better. And then that's how we got started. So we started from replacement batteries and then portable batteries for phones and for tablets. And then we expanded from there into audio entertainment, such as headsets. Actually, I'm wearing one of our latest
Okay.
ear clips, and also into smart homes. So under different brand. So the charging part is under the Anker brand, and then the entertainment and it's under the Suncore brand, and then
Mm-hmm.
smart home is under Eufy. So now, yeah, we span at three different part of consumer electronics. Yeah.
So it's almost like if Samsung had multiple brands but they were separate. Was that a conscious choice? Why did you do that?
That's a great question. So, well, I think most, brands, big, like gigantic brands, just use a single brand strategy in consumer electronics. But on the other hand, there's also like the multi-brand, right? So one brand for each category,
Mm-hmm.
which is widely used for companies like Procter & Gamble and so on and so forth. So when we started, we felt that we'd like to give our customers something special in each category. We thought like, okay, so just one brand for each category, like Anker for charging, so people can remember, oh, this is the best charging.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the hope by that time.
So you had a comfortable life. You're working at Google. You're a software engineer. You didn't have to worry about hardware, right? I mean, hardware is difficult. But what was the impetus to essentially take that leap and do the thing that you talked to your wife about, right? So you built software.
I
You were building software, and you figured that you could just build hardware, which is a wild thing. I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a major jump from software to hardware. I mean, lots
Mm-hmm.
of mistakes, lots of tuitions, right? And I'm glad actually we eventually survived. But I think that just very, sheer drive is, I think I can make things better than people who are already doing it, right? Or just make the products that I can buy at that time, better. For example, like that was like 2011. So we're just started to use smartphones, which
Mm-hmm.
have very short battery lives. So people actually have built this like huge batteries to use as replacement batteries, right? And which are not well designed and not good looking as well. So I thought, okay, this definitely, something I can do to make this thing better. So it's just a natural feeling of an engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who actually, well, if I know how much hassle or pain there will be actually moving from software to hardware, I'll probably hesitate. But at that time, it's just like, okay,
But
you know, go.
that's interesting because what you said wasn't the natural instinct of an engineer. The natural instinct of an engineer is to strip the product down to make it as cheap and simple as possible, and maybe it looks okay, but that's kind of an afterthought. What you're suggesting is that you built products that were going to succeed on Amazon because of the way they looked, right? Because that's the only way
Well,
you can really get.
sorry, that's probably the wrong way I
Yeah,
presented
yeah.
it. I think
No, that's fine.
function definitely comes first. Appearance follows. So
Hmm.
well, like by that time, well, that's like ancient history, from now. So by that time, Android has its own charging protocols, and iPhone has a different charging protocol, and many other phones have different charging protocols. So if you actually plugged the phone into the wrong charger, it charges super slow.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you remember that, but it was like
Yeah, yeah.
just like super slow, right? So like very natural instinct of an engineer would be, so why can't I build like a universal protocol chip, right, which recognize every protocol and basically will be able to unlock it, and so the phone can go into like a fast charging mode. So that's something actually we started building in 2000, I think early 2012, and then we launched the products under the trademark code Power IQ. So in late 2012, which is that chip with the Power IQ technology, so all the phones or tablets, regardless of the brand, plug into the same charger, will all get fast charging to be unlocked. I think afterwards, especially after I think 2015 or 16, it's become the standard. But by that time, it's a functional improvement. Of course, actually, it has to have great function first, but also like for a product that you want to carry every day, you also want it to look at least good as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember the first ones, they were super small and they were really, really unusual because a lot of the bricks, the charging bricks that you were carrying around were huge at that point.
Yeah. So we built sorry, just one last comment.
Sure.
So we built a lipstick size uh portable charger. It was like in 2013. It was
Hmm.
built out of one cylindrical battery and with the minimum electronics. So it's actually quite engineering work, but that's actually the first product that sold for like millions and millions,
Wow.
for us. Yeah.
Tell me about some times when you thought the company was having trouble, when you didn't think that you'd be able to make the next product.
Well, because we're naturally diversified. So from charging, from portable chargers, we went to desktop chargers and then cables, which technologically, isn't more challenging, right? So we're quite smooth there. And then from there, we expanded into audio and video. So
Hmm.
headsets and smart projectors. I think that was pretty smooth as well. And then so afterwards, smart home. I would say we didn't choose to climb like 10 stairs or just to climb like a huge cliff
Hmm.
up front, right? We're kind of like taking the steps, so one step at a time, and then just go up to the next step afterwards, right? So I would say in terms of like product development, there wasn't like that much of like a product that would really just kill us. However, I mean, in terms of failures, in terms of mistakes, there's just so many, right? And yeah, I for example, the 3D printing.
Hmm.
So we launched, the Anker Make, 3D printing. I think that was like late 2022. Well, the team say before that we didn't have experiences in especially those products with a lot of moving parts.
Hmm.
So the 3D printing have the printing head, which you need a cable to connect into the body, right? And our engineers were thinking, okay, you see, like we're a charging company, and so why don't we use like a dual USB-C?
Mm.
So as the cable to connect the printing head with the machine. We've been so familiar with USB-C, and that seems like okay, a great choice. While other people are using like this
Like a
again.
hardcore ribbon cable.
Yes. So, and then we did that. Then when these machines were shipped and used for like 3 months and half a year and even longer,
Mhm.
we realized that because that machine is constantly moving and shaking, right? That C plug will just, leave from the chamber and
Just
just, it will become loose, right? And
okay.
for 3D printing, because it's always constantly, exchanging data. So just like 1 second of loose connection will just leave that, printing to fail. So, I mean, we eventually had to recall a lot of machines, right? And that was like just one of the latest disasters, I would say. Which,
What
yeah.
how did you feel when that happened? What was this is your baby for all intents and purposes. How did you feel when this particular product just wasn't? I mean, it was falling. Who knew? I mean, it was this USB-C cable, so it's like it seems like it should work. And I think I've seen MakerBots. I've seen plenty of these 3D printers, and the idea that a USB-C cable shouldn't be able to work doesn't make any sense because it's like it's just a piece of ribbon cable. That's all you have to worry about. How did you feel when you had to deal with that? Did you feel personally upset? What was the situation?
Well, I think our like instinct feeling would be how can we take care of our customers?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think the feeling would be just like people are upset, right? Just our customers, the people who actually chose to trust us are upset. So how can we fix that? I think that's usually, the first idea that just, come up to mind. So and that's not an easy job, by the way. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
people get angry, right? And then because some of them actually really just use them for work. So it's a lot of work just trying to fix all these problems. And afterwards, I think the next one again, it's engineers like instinct would be how can we put in place like a long-term mechanism
Mm-hmm.
so we never run into this kind of problem again. So we realized that we probably did, I don't know, hundreds of hours of test by the time, right? But we didn't do like, I don't know, thousands of hours of test.
Mm-hmm. That
So
one test, yeah.
yeah. And then I think that's again like a learning there. And then you have to write down the learning in your little book
Mm-hmm.
and prioritize it. So into checklist, right? So eventually, I think for hardware, like it's just so many places that could go wrong. And then we eventually have to build this, lists of checklists that will just, help us to, again, just don't make the same mistakes again, right?
So that's
So
the solution, right? So it's the
yeah, that's
learning.
the
It's the learning
solution.
that you had from.
Yeah. So you see, taking care of the customers and making sure the problem doesn't, occur again. And afterwards, you probably have time to sit down and just, okay, feel bad.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get an understanding of how a high performing CEO would manage something like that. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it's still a big deal for the certain type of customer, right? And that's a type of customer that you want to keep because you as an engineer like that kind of customer as well. So I'm just trying to understand how you separate out that from I don't know, how you don't take that personally.
Yeah, so I think eventually, everybody makes mistake, right?
Hmm.
And then the more you do, the more mistakes you make. That's just like, the folklore. So I don't try to just, mess with that. Or although we definitely try our best to, just to minimize, the
Hmm.
mistakes that we could make. But eventually we have to realize that in our business, especially when we're constantly expanding into new categories. So, I mean, we don't have to kill ourselves when we, make one mistake for
Hmm.
new categories, right? So, and I think that's more like the long term or the mindset.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about AI. You guys have a
Cool.
specific way of handling AI that I haven't seen. You're more of I guess you would call it edge AI where the hardware itself contains a lot of the processing needed, which A reduces the need for a big cloud somewhere and B also ensures some privacy, right? So why don't you talk
Yep.
to me a little about your like I mean where's hardware going when everything is has AI in it?
Sure. I mean, uh, well, when we talk about AI in hardware, it's actually not, recently, right? So like 3 years, 4 years ago, we tried to put AI in like our, cameras, our, headsets and so on and so forth. But it was just much smaller models. So
Hmm.
today, well, I think it's a natural sort of extend like improvement over the time. So we're able to actually put much larger models. So like models with billions of parameters into our edge, AI station. So with this much bigger AI model, like the thing we can do would just just be a whole lot more. And so we actually see in the future there are just like three tiers of or AI models. So the biggest, the hundreds of models with hundreds of billions of parameters, they'll likely sit in the cloud. And be the best performing or like the most capable one. And then there are models with billions of parameters or tens billions of parameters who will be able to sit, in your home and handle most, 99% or even more of the daily, uh, AI needs. And then there also will be like models, tiny models of like millions of parameters or like tens of millions of parameters, which will sit in our like, for example, headsets, in our like smartwatches, our, again, devices who are extremely power sensitive and size limited as well. So these three tiers of AI models will work together and help each other and just basically eventually or just collectively handle our daily tasks, right? So, and each tier of model is able to actually teach the lower tier of model a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so for most of the tasks that we know and that the lower tier model will do, actually it will be able to just retrieve the best performance from the bigger model. And just, in most cases, in most known tasks, perform as well as the bigger model. But the smaller model will actually sit closer to you with, again, just smaller or definitely, less power consumption needs and also respond faster as well.
So the small stuff gets information from the. I mean, I guess it could go two ways, right? So if you have a headset in and it hears a lot of weird noises in your house,
Yep.
the house AI can basically say, "Oh, well, look, there's some kind of weird sounds. Change this camera to do this and this. Does this assume a entirely Eufy uh, constellation of tools, or do you think there's an open source solution that all the hardware is going to start using?
Well, I'm not sure, like, or let's put it this way. I think eventually, different hardware will probably or start to have AI, right? Definitely not the same exact same AI. So it could be different models. And I think eventually these models like agents, right, will have to be able to share information, right, and collaborate their actions. So I think that's again right now, so the protocols are for the homes are more for like, just products without AI to just share information, right? And then I expect going forward, when you have, products with AI agent on them, and then there will be protocols coming out for, AI to just,
Communicate.
for these agents to share information and together, serve you more. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to come, all from the same company.
What are some of the use cases? I can only imagine that people are thinking to themselves, oh, okay, so my vacuum cleaner is going to start talking to my fridge, and it's going to, like, I don't know, team up on me or something like that. What are some use cases that somebody who doesn't really understand AI, what are they going to be seeing?
So a whole lot. Let's take our security systems for example. You used to have to open the app and just check each of the videos, right, and to just get the information you want. For example, let's say like you have a daughter who should come home at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Is she home yet? Like you used to have to check the videos and or just the clips to see. So well, with the new AI, just ask,
Huh.
is my daughter home? Or even better, you can just just let him know and okay, so let me know by 5:30 if my daughter is still not home yet. So things like that, which turns like actions that you used to have to do yourself into just again just now it's just a command, a prompt or a command for the AI to just follow. I think that just make our lives a whole lot easier.
So you basically say, like, I don't know, if you have it in a parent's house, like, just watch dad this weekend to make sure if he falls, let me know, that kind of thing, and then the whole
Yeah,
system would be able to do that. Assuming
yeah.
that goes from almost everything. So the cameras, the speakers, the microphones, all that other crazy stuff. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. We still need some time to go there, but I think that's definitely the trend to go. But also, I mean, the natural worry there is how about my privacy, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
why we try very hard to put AI models into the households by just again just squeezing them into the edge stations, right? So with Eufy, your AI model stays in your home, and so your data stays in your home, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all this checks, all this monitoring or is warranties that runs in your house, not just somewhere else.
But then the only output is basically the notifications, if you get a notification on your
Yeah,
app or whatever.
yeah.
Is there ever going to be a situation where I don't know. The battery talks to your headset. The battery talks to your phone in that way.
Well, maybe not batteries, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean yeah, but definitely like your security camera talking to your, like, for example, your robotic vacuum
Mm-hmm.
cleaner, right? And let's say, for example, I hear a sound of something falling to the ground, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then, but it's not in my view, so can you go check it?
Wow.
Right? That's something that's, I'm just here imagining it, not
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
launching it anytime soon. Yeah.
How much longer before we get that kind of crazy stuff?
Well, by my best guess, I think 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
or even shorter time, even just faster. Yeah, because really, I would say, because we're looking into robotics as well. We think for some form factors it's not ready yet, or far from ready. But for certain form factors of robots, actually the technologies, the engineering stacks are mostly ready. So it could be used to make products that's really useful for our daily lives already.
So let's just close out. Let's do a little philosophical question. If you had stayed at Google and just stayed a software dev, do you think you'd be as happy as you are now?
No,
Mm-hmm.
I guess not. I'll be happy. I mean, but in terms of like being able to create or just make many things, right? And I think more importantly for me today is not only making myself, but also being able to empower a lot of people, talents, young people, right? And all over the world to just make things.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we're structuring Anchor not as like, it's not a platform where I make products. It's a platform where a lot of makers, right? They all come together to just make products, make technology, make business success. So that makers platform is something I would say just that really just wakes me up every morning.
Mm-hmm. I mean that sounds like you're having a lot. It's almost like you just made a makerspace and just said, "Here, people, just build some stuff," which sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, we provide technology, we provide the engineering process, right? The supply chain, the channels, the brands, and a lot of things. So just come build the stuff you want to build.
Okay. Well, that
A-
sounds.
and also we share the profits as well.
You share the profits, and you also have a bunch of USB-C cables that you have laying around that you can put almost anywhere, really.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Just
that's for
stick
sure.
them into anything. Stephen, this has
Yeah,
been fascinating. I'm really glad I got to talk to you. I've been following the company for a long time, obviously, and it's interesting to see like the person behind it is still a tinkerer, which is really great.
thank you, John. It's a true pleasure actually to talk with you, and yeah, we hope to really just again be able to, how to say, just invite more makers to this company and
Mm-hmm.
make more things, make better, really just innovative things out of here,
Yeah,
which
very
we
cool.
serve the world.
All right, all right. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank
This
you.
has been Keep Going. I'm John Biggs. We will see you next week. Thank you for listening to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. Remember, Keep Going is entirely listener supported. If you're listening to this, please head over to keepgoingpod.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast for as little as $5 a month. This is a labor of love, and every little bit helps. Thanks for listening.